Hey, what's up, guys? I'm here with another video, and this one's more so for like, I forget what the exact name of this One Piece game is. I believe it's One Fruit, but I'm not solely gonna talk about One Fruit. Um, in fact, I'm not gonna, go on with my rants and complaints or complaints like I usually do in my videos. In this case, I'm gonna complain, but it's gonna be more so about the structure of some of the Roblox games that I've been playing recently, like super recently. And it does involve this game as well. And I'm sure this isn't the complete list, but I am going to go down like a good little bit of this. So I don't know if you've seen my last video, but I was covering like two One Piece games and a Fire Force game while also complaining about school. Um, there was a very cool mechanic that I noticed in that game. That game had a dash mechanic, and it wasn't like the dash dodge. It was like when you ran for X amount of time, your character would start boosting and really take off. It was an actual sprinting mechanic, which I thought was super cool. I've never really seen that in Roblox, or if I have, it's been a pretty long time since I have seen it in Roblox. And when you get in combat, obviously the sprinting is disabled, but it gives you a time limit on how long it takes for you to actually start sprinting again, which I think is actually really cool. I think that was a very great setup. I thought that game looked and ran smooth, and I thought that it was like really cool to see. Granted, I did not get super deep into the game, so I don't know how far that game truly does go out, but I was playing this game for a little while, and the reason why it's only a little while is because by the time I made it to about the second island, the game was going to shut down. It gave a full warning that there was going to be a server maintenance. I just saw a fly crawl into my computer, guys. It was more so like a gnat that was unnerving. But there was going to be a computer, oh my god, there was going to be a server maintenance in about half an hour. So I only had about half an hour to actually play the game. All right. Now that was after I had already started grinding for a bit, and you know, obviously I came to a stop. But this is the gameplay, and I'm gonna be covering some of the things that I noticed like while playing. I wanted to use the natural audio that I had, but I know for a lot of it, I was kind of just like focused, quiet, keeping stuff going. Some of it I was doing other stuff, so you can hear me like talking to other people and whatnot. So I don't know if this is gonna have like a little mix of the audio from when I was playing, or if this is just simply gonna be like my voice. But I'm about to go down this list. That's just the biggest thing about it. So let's go. All right. I feel like a lot of games should have that Fire Force dash mechanic when it comes to all of like this extra grinding and fighting and whatnot. I feel like that one is actually pretty cool. I mean, sure, it does like help people who would run when it comes to fighting, but in this case, they can't do it if their combat is like currently running. So they can only take off if they're out of combat, right? And I feel like that's a pretty cool mechanic. Now, I haven't seen it to its full extent. Like I said, it could be worse once you get to a higher level, like progress in games. But I just wanted to point that out because I thought that structure was amazing. All right. Another one that I want to talk about is I got into this game and there's about 20 codes free online that you can use. I used all of them and they gave me up to 10 hours worth of boosters. I do not know, like, because I got off, I do not know that if I get back on, I'm still going to have that 9 to 10 hours worth of boosters still active, or if they just flat out remove everything because technically it's been 10 hours in real time. I don't know how that works yet. I have not been back on since, so I cannot tell you. But hopefully, if the game is actually good, the boosters stay paused until you get back on. Another complaint I had about it is the EXP that I was getting at the rate that I was leveling up seems like a pretty average rate to be leveling up like in games like this. I know that the rate is actually way slower and I have a booster on. So like the gameplay that you're going to see is me with double EXP running it, okay? This is me with double EXP. So imagine how slow it would be without me having it, right? And I feel like games like this, because this is probably the second game I've played like this so far, games like this should always have like that double whatever running. There should be plenty of opportunities that allow you to really stack up on as much resource and as much power as you possibly can. Because this grinding method basically favors putting money in. And I get that Roblox is free to play and developers majority of the time want the bag, right? So they'll give you extra outlets, Robux wise. But in this case, if the boosters don't last while you're offline, then that's pretty shady, right? I don't know yet, right? I haven't been back on, but if that is the way that it plays, that's pretty shady because nobody's gonna be on like a legitimate, you know, 10 hours straight, unless like you're a YouTuber or whatever the case may be. But as far as like somebody who's first coming in, like I did, and I threw all these codes on, nobody's expecting all of like that to play through. And then on top of that, it's a 30-minute maintenance, which basically kicks me off the game. So even if I wanted to play up to 5 hours straight, I wouldn't be able to because you yourself are kicking me off, right? So I just wanted to get that out there now. If you've been playing this and you haven't used boosters, there are boosters. Yeah, I wanted to push that there's only 10 hours worth of it through the free codes online. So, go looking online. I don't know when they're going to end, but I'm sure they will change as time comes because a lot of games usually do. There was a bug, and I've been seeing this in games like this a lot, where they'll tell you to follow them on Twitter, like their game, join their group, and if you do, you'll get this, and you'll get that, and you'll get this, and you'll get that. For me, that did not work. From what I can remember, I joined and left, followed on Twitter, joined the group, liked the game. I did all this stuff, and it did not work for me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe a lot of games like that, it takes like a patch for it to work. Maybe it takes a day for it to work. I don't know what the system is about that. I haven't looked up any YouTube videos or articles about it. This is just like from my experience. For people who don't know, when you play games like this, they offer extra boosters and extra opportunities to get things in games. But the way that they offer it is you have to follow them on Twitter. You have to join their Roblox group concerning the game, because they'll have a bunch of Roblox groups, and you also have to actually like the game. And I guess eventually when you do all that and you rejoin in the game, they will give you extra codes and or extra access to things that people who would usually have to pay get to experience, right? So it's extra incentive to basically get their name out to the public if you're doing all this stuff that they're having you do. And at the same time, it gives you more stuff in the game if you do it. It gives you a one-up on people who don't know about it or who are too lazy to do it, right? At least that's what it's supposed to be. But in my case, with games like this, it just simply does not work. And maybe it's because, like I said, they don't really push it through until another patch. Maybe you have to contact somebody on their team. Maybe you have to wait X amount of days. I don't know. But at that time, from what I can remember, it was not working for me. Another thing was, leveling up to get to another island was not flat out clear. Mind you, it is a One Piece game, so when you start seeing a harbor or like a dock and you can buy ships and whatnot, that should be clear enough. But for people who don't, know a whole bunch about like One Piece or about the types of games centered around One Piece, that would be pretty confusing. And I'm pretty sure I did play a little bit of the tutorial, but things were all over the place. For example, there was a combat tutorial guy hiding in a mountain. He was hiding in a cave, and the cave was like under the boss. And mind you, this is in the back of the island, right? So like you start off at level 1, the back of the island is for like level 30. So how are we doing a combat tutorial unless we're just exploring? And if you're on a booster, you're going to want to get as much out of that booster as you can get before it runs out, right? So you're not going to be running around doing nothing. You're going to be doing the quests that are right there in front of your face. So if that really was like a combat tutorial guy, he should have been at the very start of the game. So that's a super confusing thing that I didn't really understand either. And then, like I said, it wasn't super clear on what you needed to do. For example, this island's missions stop at about level 20. but the enemy you have to kill is 25, right? But the island you're going to doesn't offer missions until level 35. So if you're level 30 and you get to that island, you're screwed, right? And I was screwed. I went to go fight, and I was fighting like gorillas or whatever, which is another confusing thing, right? I make it to the next island. I hit 30, right? I make it to the next island because I'm just riding around on a ship, going to the island that seems like it's the closest, right? Not there was no guide, there was no nothing that explained where the next island was, and if there was, I didn't see it. Like I was saying, it's not easily accessible in the sense of like they hold your hand to explain how to play the game. You have to kind of just figure it out. And so I make it to this next island. It's like the jungle or whatever. A lot of One Piece games have the jungle. And I'm out here and I'm in a jungle, and the jungle is for level 35 and up. When you make it to the jungle, the enemies that are in front of you are gorillas, right? Gorillas are like, I'm guessing level 40 up. You're 35. Your mission is to fight monkeys. Monkeys are behind the gorillas on the back side of the island. So you start off, if you're not paying attention and you're just fighting the enemies who are right in front of you, the enemies you would think you would have to be fighting, you're wasting time, which is exactly what I did. I killed like 5 or 6 gorillas. One of them killed me. And they don't give enough EXP to actually level up in a timely manner. And I was level 30 at the time. So I'm realizing, hey, this isn't going to work. So I have to go back to the island I was just at, that I've been at for half of the game since I've been playing, and regrind the boss, which thank God there's 2 of them, at least 2 of them. There might be a third. Thank God there are at least 2 of them, so I don't have to wait on like ridiculous spawn times. So I can kill one, go pick up a mission, and then kill the other. Go pick up a mission, then kill one, go pick up a mission, and then kill the other. And keep doing it until I'm like in my 40s to maybe 50, right? And then go back to jungle and start doing the level 35 and up quests, right? Now imagine how hard that would have been, or how I just wanted to add that now that I'm actually seeing this, there is a sign right there, like right beside the dog, if you can actually see it. It is right there. I completely missed it. I was completely blind to it. When I came over to the combat guy who was in the mountain, I heard some sound effect. I don't know if it was somebody using something or if there was something going on with the mountain. I'm not too sure of what was going on or what the combat guy was trying to teach, but I did actually kind of see that there, and I wanted to put that in there like post editing. Also check out the drip. Look at your boy in the fit. Where like boosters make it easier, man. Like that is just bizarre to me. That's just so bizarre to me. So yeah, you know, that wasn't really clear. And when you make it to the jungle, right, it doesn't tell you that the jungle is the next island. You just got to go riding around on a boat. Once you make it to the jungle, there is a sign that tells you how you go from island to island and which islands are the ones you're supposed to do. So if you're a new player and like you're playing through and you finally make it to 30 or 35 or whatever, and you don't have that extra boost, and you head off to a new island, and the first island you head off to is not the jungle, right? And there's like level 70s and whatnot, and you're not knowing what's going on, and you don't know where else to go because you're scared that if you explore another island, it's going to be the wrong island, or if there's not a sign on the next island that you go to showing which island you're supposed to go to within your level range, you're probably going to get off of the game, all right? There's not enough hand-holding. There's not enough explaining for people who are just coming into the game. And to me, that was a bit of a turnoff. But I mean, I got it, right? I kind of understood it. It's not my first time playing a game like it, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me. But like in my honest opinion, if you're really trying to keep people on your game, that's something that you have to change. You're going to have to change that, right? You're going to have to. But the boosters, I think, are top notch. That's super cool. It's cool that they at least give you a way to level up quicker than whatever the base level up is supposed to be, because if it's any slower than what the boosters are offering, I would not consider that game for playing. Not at all. But that was something that I wanted to cover as well. Excuse me. The game does have an anti-PvP system, but from what I've seen, it happens after your first death. When it happens for about 400 plus seconds, and nobody can touch you other than NPCs for 400 plus seconds, right? On your first island, you're pretty much safe 24/7. When you make it to the next islands, you're going to come across people who are obviously a much higher level than you and who are ready to just box for whatever happens, right? Which is super not fun. Caught me off guard. Somebody one-shotted me. I don't know what fruit he had. He hit what felt like the entire island, which means that he's got enough power to just grind island to island with ease, right? He can hit literally 4 to maybe 5 different enemies all at the same time, probably kill them all, rinse and repeat, and just keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So some fruits, in that case, if that's truly how it works, if not all fruits have that potential for AoE, like area of effect, then some fruits are literally overpowered. And I get it in a sense of like, oh, hey, well, the show makes these fruits like this and those fruits like that. And I mean, I get that. But in this sense, this would be ridiculous because the way that the enemies are set up, they're stationed in random spots, like in a certain area. And from what I've seen, at least in this lower level area, they do not come to fight you. You have to come to them. They stand in place when they fight you. So you can actually step away from them and heal, or you can kite them if you have a fruit, which I believe you don't get a fruit until 30, right? Unless you like put money in and buy one. So you can actually kite them. So in this case, this guy is running around the jungle. He's got to be at least 60 levels over me. So the next island, which I think is 75 plus, this guy is just sitting at jungle farming until probably 90 to 100. And he's got a fruit that is hitting what feels like and almost looks like the entire map. And I should have footage of that. And what I think I'll do is I'll just have the game running at like 2 times speed, so I can fit everything in. Sorry if you do not get like the bare minimum of like the game running at normal speed, right? I want to set some videos up where they're kind of like some of the YouTubers I've seen, where it's kind of like I'm breaking everything down piece by piece with a lot of editing. But in this case, this is like my complain piece, and I'm not gonna have it set up to where it shows everything as I talk about it. It'll just be a recording of everything that I'm mentioning, and it'll be played in the speed of which, like, I was playing the game from start to finish. But everything that I mentioned in this video, you will actually see in the video if you're actually just watching it. I'm not going to put timestamps toward whenever it happens or whatever the case may be. This will be like an unedited, pretty much unedited, like unchopped video of everything that like I've experienced. Now there's that, right? When I first started, there was a guy talking in chat saying, a sea king is spawned, so there's some sea demon, sea beast or whatever, and I'm guessing it's raid potential because he made it seem like when he put it up there, he made it seem like, if everybody joins in to do it, you'll get something. So I see that as like some big boss or whatever, which is usually consistent with raids. So I think that's pretty cool if that is something that's being offered late game, which I'm assuming it is, then that's like a pretty cool factor to actually put in the game. It would be a little bit more incentive to actually see how the game like plays as you level up. Yeah, so that would be pretty much everything. Something else that I'm looking through just to make sure I'm covering like the grounds of the notes that I wanted to make. The AoE for the fruits and your attacks and whatnot that I was mentioning hits X amount. So like, for example, I get the love fruit, right? I do the random draw, I get the love fruit. You'll see that I have a move, it's like love arrow, where I shoot an arrow. If I'm point blank range, the arrow has a possibility of not hitting the enemy at all and will go flying off into space. If I'm from a distance, I have a better shot of hitting the enemy. Sometimes the arrow just doesn't go unless like I'm holding it for X amount of seconds rather than just tapping it to click it. It's whatever, right? But what happens is I can actually hit an enemy outside of their AoE, and it will actually hit them, and I can kite them. Now, For those of you who don't know what kiting is, it's basically hitting an enemy without them having the opportunity to actually hit you back. So you're getting free licks in essentially, and this keeps you from dying like ever. And I'm assuming that it works in a sense of finishing missions and giving me EXP, but it's obviously not super efficient when that is the only move that I have. So even when I get the fruit, you're still going to see me go hand to hand with foes while also using the love arrow. And there's a mastery, and I'm pretty sure the boosters touch on mastery too. I mean, it'd be kind of funny if it didn't, right? But there's a mastery for your fruits. There's a mastery for pretty much everything you do. And the mastery, I'm assuming, helps towards your damage and the effectiveness of your whatever, and they unlock new moves and whatnot. But the mastery felt a little slow too, and I feel like it increases with every enemy that you kill, not every hit that you land. I think the level increases for every hit that you land, but the mastery increases for every kill that you get, right? And so um, I started off with melee and spent my first 1 to 29 levels or 1 to 30 levels using melee. And then when I got a fruit, it all changed. So the like items are different, right? You're not using like melee and then swapping the fruit to use a skill. Your fruit is its own melee. So you don't need melee anymore. So you're just using melee, I guess, in a chance that you get a fruit that you don't like, right? That way you can still keep your melee stat, which I mean I don't have too big of a problem with. I've seen One Piece games do it. It's whatever. This game also has an auto clicker, which naturally you buy with Robux. That should give you an idea of the type of game that this is. Auto clickers are basically in-game macros, and in this case, people offer them for sale. That way, you can keep tapping or clicking or whatever and constantly level something up. So, like I was saying, whenever you hit an enemy, it increases the level of whatever you're using. In this case, you don't have to hit an enemy. As long as you are punching air, it increases the level of whatever it is that you're using, whether that's a fruit or it's a melee or probably a sword, because you can have swords. I did not buy one though. And they also have a second skill, which is your defense skill, which I'm guessing the more you do it, the more increases your health. And all your character does is just works out right there on the spot. And you can auto click to continuously work out. So if you do this and like you leave the game or like you leave it like AFK or whatever the case may be, and you come back 20 minutes, 30 minutes later with boosters on, your character's probably going to be like 100 levels higher than what they would have been if you just played the game normally. That's usually what auto clickers do for games like these. I'm not a huge fan of them, but then again, I only see them in games like this, so it doesn't really bother me that much, right? Something that I wanted to point out as well is this game runs smooth. You know, it looks nice. You can actually get gear from enemies. As far as I've seen so far in the first island, you definitely get them from bosses. If you kill them enough times, you basically get the boss's drip, and it does look nice. It looks pretty cool, and I think it gives some stats. I didn't really see exactly where it is so that you can see the stats. I'm sure it's somewhere on the screen and I just missed it. I wasn't worrying about it anyway. I was able to stay alive majority of the time, and I'm guessing it's because the boosters helped increase my everything, so fighting didn't really get me killed. Another thing I wanted to point out about the auto clickers are you will see people most likely higher level than you AFK auto clicking, and they'll just sit there in one spot and they'll be punching the air and yet somehow still kill and hit enemies, which I thought was absolutely insane. But you know, when you're auto clicking, I mean, it's supposed to make the game super easier for you. It's like that episode of Rick and Morty where like their sleep selves are doing everything their awake selves don't want to do. That's basically what auto clicking is for this game. So I was seeing that a lot as well, or at least enough times to where it felt like a lot, right? Because to me, even once is too much, right? But yeah, that's the like view I have on auto clicking. The water doesn't automatically kill you. That's another note that I wanted to add. In some games, you get in the water pulls you under, you can't get out, and it will kill you, like Grand Peace Online. In this game, the water does not automatically kill you. In fact, you have a fighting chance to make it out of the water and get back on a boat. You have to pay for boats. They're not Robux, they're actual gold. I think the swords are actual gold. Some of the fruits I believe you can buy with actual gold, but you can also get free spins for fruits as well. So that should also work too. Um, then there was, yeah, something else that dealt with auto clicking as well, where you will find people who are much higher levels than you in lower level areas, just auto clicking, probably so that they don't die as quickly. And because they're AFK and they're auto clicking, they'll probably be up to like level whatever, right? Like level 60 or 70 in a level 20 place, but they won't know it because they're AFK letting their like account auto click for them, which I mean, you can do with the macro, sure, but you can also do if you just buy an auto clicker. Whatever, right? I'm not super like driven to get far in games like this just because there is a game that I played that was like this, and they show you based off your power level who's the strongest in the server. And I saw people with power levels in the 1 billions, 1 trillions, and they go to fight bosses and they can't even solo bosses, which seems crazy to me when you have the highest power in the entire server, right? And it's not just that they can't solo bosses, it's that they do bosses with groups of people who are around their level or obviously way under, and they still can't beat bosses. So when I saw that in one game, I naturally thought, okay, this is not the type of game that I want to play. You know, what's the point of getting to this high level if you can't even do something that is expected of you, right? So that's a bust. But you know, as far as the game's movement and the way it plays, the way it looks, the kind of features that it has, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward and pretty entertaining. I just don't think it'd be a game that I personally would play unless I was playing with friends, right? Because friends kind of distract you from like the tireless annoyance that these kind of games provide, right? Um, that should be everything. That was just my little rant about like the games that I've been seeing and really kind of like my breakdown of what to expect in a game like this if you actually do want to actually get into it and give it a shot. You know, by all means, go ahead. This is just like my little warnings of things to, I guess, avoid, but they might not be that big of a problem for you. It all depends on what you're into. Yeah, peace.